It's rough as shit.
I was on where was I at? On Francis Street. Lord Jesus, in the hood, honey, straight in the hood.
That's my homeboy.
The little kids walking to the store because my daughter danced over there. She said, "Can I go to the store?" I said, "You already know." She said, "I told the little girl you want to go." You already know. I don't even play them games.
Right, you're not about to walk
getting shot for no Italian ice. No, I don't get you something for the market.
Not an Italian ice.
Because that's what she want to know. You're not dying for no damn ice. No. But it's
real, and it's like
is.
you really have to pay attention to things like that.
It's sad.
Like you can't even walk and get a frozen cup. Like back in the day, like you could just leave and walk and go where you wanted to go. Yeah. Nobody really cared.
Not now.
About your welfare in that sense.
My kids don't even play in the porch, and I don't live in a bad neighborhood, but you just any neighborhood can turn into a bad neighborhood.
Right.
This is very personal work for me.
Politics.
I believe I was called to tell my story, use my voice, be a voice for the community, to speak to and for a community of people that's been ignored, denied, overlooked.
Religion.
This is my life's work.
Religion.
I want to use words to uplift, heal, inspire, encourage.
Do something different. Every Monday at 10.
Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart, and this is So Much to Say. These are my thoughts in my voice on black shit, white shit, gay shit, and everything in between. So I'm in Baltimore, and we're talking about the ceasefire that was actually unsuccessful a couple weeks ago. It was supposed to last for 72 hours, but it only lasted for about 41 hours. I'm originally from Baltimore. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I need to know why you think it was unsuccessful, but I'm going to let you finish opening up, and I need you to start right there.
This is my friend Marika. We went to high school together. I can see I'm going to have to gather her already. But anyway, I'm originally from Baltimore, so this place will always have a special place in my heart. I haven't lived here for many years. I moved away for college, and then from college I moved away to Atlanta. But I've always had family here, so I always visit home and spend time with friends. I've maintained communication with some friends from high school. But I've always been kind of anxious when I come back home. I'm always a little more aware. Like when I'm driving, at night, I'm always making sure that the doors are locked. When I would visit my mom and stay at her house, I would always make sure that the alarm was set at the end of the night before we went to bed, because I just wasn't about those games. And but I never really had that sense of nervousness or worry or concern when I lived elsewhere, whether it was in LA or whether it was in Atlanta. Until I come home to Baltimore, I'm always really, really conscious of it. And what I've realized over the years, and I've said it to like my family and some friends, that I've noticed that it's been like a slow burn. It's been like a slow depression, if you will. And not just in terms of the people, but also the landscape. Like I notice how there's a growing number of dilapidated or abandoned houses. At one point, driving down Park Heights or Ricestown Road, you couldn't see to the other side. Like if you were on Park Heights, you couldn't see Ricestown Road because there were houses and because there were trees. But then as the property started to fall apart, you could see clear across to the other side. I noticed that the people were either severely drug addicted, like nodding on street corners, missing teeth, just looking really, really defeated and depressed. And then I noticed when the whole Freddie Gray thing happened, when he was killed by the police, as a result of him being killed, there was an eruption, like there was a riot. But I believe that yes, it was in part about Freddie Gray, but I also believe that it was also about a city that's been depressed, a city that's had a depressed economy, a depressed school system, a depressed people, a depressed working environment, a working community, if you will, or lack thereof. So what do you think it is in terms of this growing number of killings in Baltimore? Because one of the first shootouts that I remember was back in the day. I think I was in high school, and it was at Mondawmin Mall. It was inside the mall. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I remember people started calling it Murder Dawmin.
Yeah, I remember that.
So what do you think it is? Like, do you think it's part because there aren't any opportunities here? Do you think it's partly because of the drug infestation?
I think it's the mindset of people. In part, I'm gonna start. For 20 years, I worked in corrections.
Right.
I just retired last year. But listening to the stories of the inmates and how I think some of them, where we see choices in things, like we make choices, I think they see crime and violence as their only option. When you listen to them talk, a lot of them would say how they were, quote unquote, born into that lifestyle. So that's the only lifestyle that they know. And they feel obligated to dad or mom to continue what they would think is a legacy of crime, selling drugs, killing. They think that that's a way of life. And I think as the mindset of people, you know, the generation having being
Kids.
young, having children, it changed a lot. Like the big mamas of our day are gone. You have grandmothers who now are in the clubs with their children. That was unheard of back in our day. So I think it has a lot to do with the mindset of the people and how a lot of men and women think that they have to carry on this legacy of the violence. And so even when you see their children, if you look at how they interact with them, they treat them like a homeboy on the street and not raising them to be men or women, you know, successful men or women. They're raising them as thugs. That's how they treat them. If you look at them, they dress them that way. They talk to them that way. So I think it has a lot to do with people thinking they don't have choices and they only have one option to be.
And would you say that it's also because there are a lack of options or opportunities here? Because when I think about poverty, I think about mental illness, because I think it sometimes brings forth mental illness, because when you don't really see beyond your everyday,
Right.
and every day is a struggle, every day is a grind, every day you're trying to figure out how to pay your electric bill, you're trying to pay your rent, how you're going to provide food, and you really don't have much money coming in. I think that brings forth a level of mental breakdown.
And defeat, right.
You feel defeated.
Right. I agree. I think that has a lot to do with it. If you're born into poverty and you can't see past that because your mother didn't see past that or your grandmother didn't see past that.
There's nobody to give you that, pass that different torch.
Nobody's giving you that push.
I get what you're saying. Like, to piggyback off of the poverty aspect, I think it's a much deeper underlying issue when you talk about the crime and why people were behaving the way they do. I think lead has a lot to do with it.
You think what?
Lead.
Lead. Like
Eat
lead,
chips.
lead paint.
Yeah. Because,
They said they sweet though.
but you think about it, like, if you were to go into the jail system and were like to test the prisoners in there, I bet you would find a ridiculous proportion of the dudes have some type of ridiculous lead levels. And that affects like your cognitive skills, reasoning, decision making, all of those things. And then you got that on top of drug addiction. You mix in a little bit of crack with that, you don't know what the hell you're going to get.
So, but what's the ratio of kids that are eating lead?
It's not like it was back.
Yeah,
not like it was back, but you think about the one, I'm thinking, we talking about the generation.
That was pretty much our generation, though,
right.
with the lead.
That's behind us.
No, this is a whole new breed we dealing with now, these things.
I'm saying the lead thing is a Baltimore thing. We've all lived different cities. Inner cities. Only city that got this lead thing going on is Baltimore. And it's in the inner city.
But you know what else I think it is, though? I think, honestly, family dynamics have changed. You know how back in our day, let's just say, if your mother was getting high, you had your grandmother
to fall back on,
or your aunt. Like the family always
there was a
stuck
unit
together. It's not like that anymore.
But where grandma live at? On Baltimore Street.
No, but what I'm saying
in
is
the house
you had
with
that.
lead paint.
Well, we weren't eating no lead paint.
Just
but you weren't. I'm
so
just
bad.
saying. I ain't just saying to be affected by lead paint, you don't have to eat it.
Right, that's true. You can ingest it, right?
You can ingest it. Just being around it is harmful to you. From years think about how much you at your grandmother's house and how much you're affected by. You got that cousin that you can't figure out why he jive fucked up.
Right, I get that, but I think
It's only something that happens in Baltimore. Like, you don't hear about some dude in Philly getting a lead check.
But I don't even honestly hear about it.
It's
like
a Baltimore
I used
thing.
to.
It's a dirty little secret in Baltimore. That whole lead thing.
But they've had regulations now where they can't have. They had to go in and redo that. They had to strip the lead and do all of that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that they're on people because I grew up with people
that was like 30
definitely
years
had
ago.
lead. Right. So we're talking about the people. We're talking about these 18 and 19-year-olds now that are shooting and killing
those people we talking about, they their parents.
Correct.
This is genetics. That whole lead thing, that's genetics. This ain't just something.
Okay, so that may be a portion of it. But a portion of it is also this drug infestation in this city.
Including the lead.
He's stuck on this lead thing.
Because once you got the lead, that's already your base. You already got a slight delay in the game.
But that's
you
true.
already
kind of
delayed.
Something about the drugs from what I'm going to say what I read and what I see on social media. It's a lot more prevalent now. Teenagers back in our day, well, from what I know,
right?
That wasn't even in our vocabulary to be worrying about getting high or. Now you see teenagers nodding. I don't know if it comes from the music they listen to where they promote.
I think it's a combination of things.
You think it's the music?
I think it's a combination. I think
music
it could
has
be the
a lot
music.
to do with it.
Well, entertainment.
Everything to do with it. You think about the music that we listen to, it's like when we grew up, I don't know how old y'all are, but the music that we listened to during the age of these kids, it was more like
positive.
Not most positive, but like, yo, go to school, get your shit together.
It had a meaning behind
like the girls now, they looking up to Beyonce and Nicki Minaj and all these other chicks, but the chicks my age, they looked up to like Lauryn Hill.
But you can't just ascribe it to the music because if that's the case, then it should be happening in
because
Atlanta.
Music is your
it
life.
should be happening
music
in
is
Nashville.
Your life. You listen to music every day,
right? But it should be happening in other cities. This is almost.
It's happening in other cities.
No, the way that y'all shooting and killing people here, that's not happening in Atlanta. I'm not saying that there isn't gun violence in Atlanta.
The thing about Baltimore is disproportionate because it's Baltimore. People get caught up. Baltimore is a small city.
Okay, but there are other small cities.
Winston-Salem,
North Carolina is a small city.
That's what I'm saying.
But this is not happening in cities like that. So you can't just ascribe it to music because they're listening to the same shit we listening to.
Right? Because we had Ice Cube and NWA back in the day.
I think that there's something to be said about the drug addiction, and like you said, a lot of these parents are on drugs and they pass that legacy down to their children. Some of it could be this lead paint stuff, but my thing is like. You'd have to get into research and studies and all that to quantify that, to say, okay, well, it's because these motherfuckers been eating on lead chips from the peeling paint on the walls. So, I mean, you'd really have to get to some sort of a research or some sort of study to say that. I think that part of it is family values. There's a lack of family values. I think there's something to be said about a lack of opportunity in Baltimore because Baltimore has always been a blue-collar city.
What opportunity, though? What opportunity?
Let me say that.
There's really no industry in Baltimore is what I'm saying.
I came from a huge family. Mm-hmm. I love the idea of family.
Yeah.
Always had somebody around to look out for me. I'm saying all that to say, now I have 3 children. 10, 9, and 5. And it's just me and my 3 children. A lot of my family is still alive. But the dynamics have changed. People are into themselves now. Where they don't reach out. You can't even call for help because when you ask for help, everybody feel like you're trying to use them or everybody. It's always an angle with people now. It wasn't like that.
And what do you think that is? What do you think that is? Because if your family is still alive, the majority of your family is still alive, and if you don't feel like you can reach out to your family, what do you think that is? Because if it's happening in your family, it's happening in other families.
I hear a lot of people say the same thing, and it's sad, because you think it's an isolated incident.
Right.
But when you have a conversation with other people, they're saying the same thing, I have wrecked my brain because it's been going on for about 6 years in my family, trying to figure out what happened.
Well, here's what I'll say. I know
people are who they are.
In my family, the dynamic changed when the matriarch
passed away.
When my grandmother died, she was the glue. She was the one that kind of held everything together. She was the reason that we all got together for Thanksgiving and Christmas and whatever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But when she died, it was like each of her children started to have their own Thanksgiving dinners.
And everybody
Or their own
celebrated.
Christmas dinner. Yeah, so it wasn't really this cohesive kind of everybody come together and do Thanksgiving together.
And that's when everything started to shift. So that could be it.
So I was having a conversation with a senior the other day, because everybody here is, how old are you? 26 all the way up to 40.
I'm 43.
I'm 43.
43, okay. And so I was having a conversation with a woman the other day, 75, and she said that she is almost terrified to leave her house because it's so crazy here. And she said it's to the point that, she told me about a story on the news, I don't know how long ago it was, I think it happened over East, and it was a 98-year-old man, he got robbed, they came in his house, and where?
Darley Avenue.
And they ended up killing him. And her thing was, what could this old man have really done to them? Why didn't they just, if they were going to rob him, why not just rob him and just leave the man be? And so for me, it's like, you make it to 98 years and to die like that. They pretty much bludgeoned him, according to what she said. She said he was unrecognizable.
Well, once again, when we were growing up, because I have to reference that, women, children, old people were off limits.
Off limits.
You did not. I don't care what it was.
I'm not that old. It was still the same thing with me.
You didn't do it, but now they don't care. Anybody can get it anywhere, and even still, like you said, I was born and bred here. Hung on the west side, east side, didn't matter. Wasn't scared of anything, but hang out. As when you're young, you don't fear too much anyway.
Right.
Now I clutch my pearls. I'm like a little white woman. When I'm at a light, baby,
Listen,
I lock my doors.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. When I'm here, I don't give a damn who walking across the street. I'm looking to make sure the doors are locked.
Cities, it
Cross
can go
to the
down
other
at any
side.
moment.
Listen.
This is one of those cities where, it can go down at any moment.
And anybody can get it. You just
anybody
don't know.
can get it.
Listen,
like you can be anywhere. I don't care how nice the neighborhood is. It might go to fucking down right there.
Yeah.
My aunt said
You
to me
gotta
the
be
other day,
ready.
so you going out? I said, girl, I ain't going out here. I said, have you lost your mind? I didn't come up here to get shot.
Yeah.
My kids get upset because I don't do crowds. If it's
Right.
Like
if I feel like I have to run, I don't have time to be trying to gather up 3 kids and we're not going. And they don't understand. But this is another thing. We were allowed to be children. We were allowed to go outside, have fun, run around all day. Children are not allowed to be children anymore. They can't go outside and play. You have to talk to them like little adults because you have to have them ready for the world. You just can't,
Because they're getting shot by stray bullets.
I have to talk to them like, this is what's going to happen if you do the X, Y, Z. You shouldn't even have to have a conversation with your child about hiding in school, just in case somebody come in and shooting. That's something we didn't have to worry about.
Right.
So it's just, I think it's a lot. The world is just changed, and kids are not allowed to be kids. They're growing up too quick, and it's just a mess. It honestly is a mess. But I need you to tell me to go back to with your introduction
With the ceasefire.
Yes. We need
Okay,
to go.
so there was a ceasefire, and it was supposed
Yes.
to it was supposed to last for 72 hours.
Right.
And it of no shooting, no killing.
That was the hope.
That was the hope.
Right.
So it did. I say it failed because 2 people got killed in 41 hours.
So you don't think that 41 hours without a killing was some kind of success for Baltimore? You don't think so?
No, help me understand that.
I mean, it's semantics. Like 42 hours, but it wasn't a 41-hour ceasefire.
But
No, but
I
what
don't
I'm
think that it was successful either.
why not?
Because
it was with hopes of it being, 72?
72.
So
it wasn't a
that would've been
41-hour.
successful.
It would have been successful if it was a 41-hour ceasefire.
Exactly.
But it still was some type of success because in that 41 hours where you might have 1 and 2 people getting killed in 24 hours.
We didn't reach the goal though.
I'm gonna have to agree with her.
Thank
I
you.
believe it was a success. I say that specifically only because to have that level of
Camaraderie.
that level of camaraderie in a city like Baltimore, where we all have almost 211 murders right now.
I'm not giving you a congratulations on what you're supposed to
No,
do.
exactly,
I
and
ain't
that's
gonna
what I'm
give you shout-outs
saying.
for that.
So that's what
You're
I'm
not
saying.
supposed to
There's no way of saying, oh, it was a success. It was a goal that was obtained.
So you think there was a level of solidarity for
Yeah.
41 hours? Because I don't think that was a success.
No.
And I'm really struggling with this whole idea of a 72-hour ceasefire, because my thing is, what's the goal after that? So,
Yeah.
okay, so what if they had reached 72 hours?
Can we
Then
extend
if you
it?
can
So
do
then what?
72, then you can do 96. Then you can do 116. So I'm guessing that was the goal. We can start here, then we'll go here, then we'll go
Couldn't
here.
he do
You gotta
42?
start somewhere. That's just like as a baby. What you do? You crawl, then you walk. And then you
42
keep going
hours,
from
though?
there. Right, but you gotta start somewhere. You have to start somewhere.
42. It's like it's like a kid bring home a C. It's like
You passed,
you
but
passed, but it's cool.
You pass, but you can do better. So next report card, you may bring home a B. Or you may shoot straight to an A.
You ain't
but
getting no
you gotta
Jordans though.
start
You
somewhere.
ain't getting no J's.
You shouldn't even get a reward for that. That's something you're supposed to do.
well, that's what he's saying about the killing.
Right.
Back to
Y'all ain't
what we
supposed to
just said.
But for somebody who doesn't know that, for somebody who was born into being this person who doesn't know that, you have to let them start somewhere. They don't know that you're supposed to act like this over here. Because when they were growing up, all they saw was shooting, fighting, and killing. This is what they saw every day. So where do you start them at?
I really think that what has to be done, I think there needs to be an evaluation because I think a lot of this, like I was saying earlier, I don't think this violence or this killing is specific to one thing. I think it's an amalgamation of things. So a part of it, I think, also is some mental illness stuff going on. I think that some of this stuff, I think some of these people are mentally ill. And I don't necessarily mean they're bipolar or they've had a nervous breakdown. Or I think some of them may be suffering from extreme depression. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that this is just what they know to do. I think some of it is legacy stuff like you mentioned earlier. So I think it's a mixture of things.
So what do you think?
I think...
I'm not going to... Well, depression is real. Trust me, I know.
Right.
It's very real.
And I think there are degrees of depression.
Right.
Because I've experienced a depression. You and I have talked about your
Right.
depression. But I think that there are degrees of depression, and I think there are certain things or different things that trigger a depression.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think sometimes depression comes because you're just completely disadvantaged and you just don't have resources. Sometimes you're depressed because of a health issue and you're unable to do the things that you were able to do before. I think there are a series of things that provoke or instigate depression. But in this case, in the case of Baltimore and what we're seeing here, I think there really needs to be a conversation about wiping guns off the streets. Mm-hmm. I think that's really the conversation that needs to happen. Moreover, I think there needs to be a conversation about who we are as a people and where we've come from. Because a lot of these kids that are out here, and it's not just kids, because it's adults, it's grown-ass people out here shooting and killing people too. I think a part of it is they don't know the rich legacy from which they come. And when I'm talking about rich legacy, I'm talking about the kings and queens that we come from as a people, but all the way down to the Malcolm X's, to the Marcus Garveys, to the W.E.B. Du Bois. I mean, all of that stuff, because I think that the more you know about who you are, the more you know, the taller you can stand. And I just don't think that a lot of these people really know who they are, and they marvel at white wealth, because it appears that white folks just have it all, and they have it because they work for it, and they don't really know the legacy or the history that a lot of it was passed down to them. They also marvel at the wealth and the glitz and glam and the bling from the entertainment industry. So I think it's really about re-educating the people in this city.
So what's your take on what anybody?
Yeah, hold up though. For FYI, Freddie Gray had lead.
He is still on this list.
Just to let y'all know,
Okay.
that's a fact.
What's y'all take on?
That's a fact.
Them trying to what's this new law they trying to pass where if you get caught with a weapon or something, then that's a mandatory year.
Mandatory sentencing and stuff?
Yeah.
That's can I speak on that? That is from, not to say he your boy, but that's from your boy as Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He passed that law.
No, but I want to know what you think about it as far
It
as...
sucks because it's a form of voter suppression, and I'm going to tell you why. Because that mandatory minimum law, it's a law that they gave Hillary Clinton a hard time about. With the whole, you go to jail no matter what. They gave her a hard time about this law. Like, matter of fact, the people that Obama was pardoning are people that was in jail because of that law.
And not only is it voter suppression, but it's also the criminalization of black people.
Yeah.
Because you already know from statistics that a lot of black people...
Once you're a convicted felon, you can't vote.
Well, it's being overturned in some places.
Now
in
Baltimore.
some places you can vote. So that's the thing that a lot of people don't know, that you can actually vote. So, but in terms of the criminalization of black people, part of it is because, just like with weed, like weed carried like really, really strong penalties at one point, because the majority of people that were passing and transferring and using weed were people of color, black people, Latino people. But now you see white people using it for medicinal purposes, and now it's legal. So you got legions of black people and people of color in jail for using marijuana, but now it's legal and people can make money off of it. So are y'all gonna go and release these people that are in jail?
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
With these with the weapons charges.
Yeah.
All right, I need to piggyback over here with the ceasefire thing. I'm not
Okay,
done
because
with
you're
this
not done with the
little- I'm not done
ceasefire.
with this
She
little
feels a certain
ceasefire.
way about the ceasefire.
Yeah, because I felt like they accomplished something. I really did, but you made the comment that don't look at me like that. That you're not going to get them credit for something they're supposed to be doing anyway. So I'm just curious as to where you think they're supposed to start, or what would you suggest for them to do? Not the ceasefire, just not kill, but we talking to criminals because that's what they did. So, I mean, like, where are they supposed to start?
What do you mean? Where are they supposed to start?
You said you don't think it was successful.
I don't think that it was successful at all.
So had they went 72
Somehow
hours.
what made it
As
unsuccessful?
they went 72 hours, they went 72 hours.
So if they went 72 hours and 5 minutes and somebody got killed, then
72 hours in 5 minutes.
If somebody got killed, it would have just been 72 hours and 5 minutes. There was no consolation prize for the 72 hours anyway. It was no grand finale finishing prize, no way, was it?
There was no prize. There was no prize.
It was, so
you need a prize not to kill.
that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
What was the end? What was the finale prize anyway? What was the consolation?
I had one person with me now.
What was the consolation?
He watching some real shit going on.
Ain't nobody with you.
What was the
Because first of all, listen.
It was just.
All I'm saying is, I
was
think
just
the
an
effort was
experiment.
there. Who organized the ceasefire?
I wanted.
Was it organizations here in Baltimore?
Erica Bridgeford and LNG. I
They
think
did a good
were-
job.
Yeah.
It was a good job. It
They
was
did
an
a good
experiment.
job.
And I applaud the effort, but it was unsuccessful because we did not make.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing the effort. I think the effort was great, and I think somebody
didn't
should have
make
stepped
it.
up and done something. But what I am saying is, at 41 hours, it wasn't a success.
Right.
Even if it had made 72 hours, my question would have then become, okay, so now what's next? So y'all gonna start killing on
So
the
now
on the
what?
next day?
75 is on.
But you have to start somewhere. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Right. So my question is, yeah, the start was to put the ceasefire in place, but what's the work after that? I think.
I think they're still.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. They should have figured that out.
Right, so if we would have made
Before
72
before they announced
so my
the
thing is,
They gave 41
they still
hours. It's
coming
all
up.
right.
They still coming up with what to
so
do next.
If we made the 72 hours,
Y'all can
I feel like if we made the 72 hours, then would it have been return a gun drive after that?
There you go.
A
So,
gun
like,
drop-off
my thing is,
for-
in the 72 hours, why didn't they say, okay, during the 72 hours, we don't want you to shoot, but we want you to turn in your guns.
But I
haven't they
think.
done that before?
But I think
Well,
one
do
of
it
them
again,
said
because
it-
clearly
somebody
these
on that
motherfuckers
side
got
said it.
guns.
Somebody got something.
I think one of them said it like, yo,
Well,
it was an experiment.
An experiment.
No, they are still doing.
It was
Can I
the
get that red one right there?
Which one?
An experiment.
No, they still doing ceasefire 365. That's what it's
What's
called. 300 a year, like
Well,
three.
listen, somebody still got something.
Yeah, a whole lot of people still have something, but that's.
Well, where's the black church in all of this? Are the black churches?
Yeah,
They
don't-
holding it.
please
They
don't
got
get
a little
Jamal
hope.
Brown in this.
No,
got
they
a preacher
do
put on
have-
their hips.
Please.
That's where we at now, though.
Did they? So wait, are you saying that they go
Let
into
me go
church
get my
with
little
guns?
tie.
They got
preaching-
security and everything now.
They preaching with them on their hips.
This is like mini Beirut.
I'm
It's
letting you know the
serious.
truth. I'm letting you know the truth.
Listen.
Y'all president talking.
It is
It's
real out
serious,
there.
though.
Man. It's real out there.
So are you
But do you
like?
blame them now? Honestly.
Hey, my kids
Yeah.
don't live here no more.
If you were on the pulpit, because you know people walking up in churches now,
Yeah, they are.
We are
doing
the
what they
fucking
got to
ass.
do, and you can get it anywhere.
So you're
Yeah, the white boy that did that killed the 9 parishioners.
yeah down in Charleston.
Right. I mean, so
You know he got, like, true story. The white boy that killed the parishioners in Charleston, South Carolina, he got attacked in jail. by this dude in jail. The dude that attacked him got so much money, he out of jail now.
Okay, so listen. Why you keep veering off?
I'm sorry. I'm all over the place.
Clearly. So you have 2 boys, and they live out of state.
They don't live here no more.
So is it because of
Their mom,
what's happening here?
she felt as though it was cheaper for her to live there and commute here to work every day. And we both agreed that we don't want to raise kids in the city.
In Baltimore City.
In Baltimore City. It's like, it's too many cons.
So how do you feel in terms of having kids and sending them to school? And do you worry like daily, or is it's not something you think about daily?
Oh, yeah, I worry daily. And I pray for my children daily.
That's a con.
But I'm going to get back to you in a second. Anywho.
All right, shit.
I'm going to deal with this first. Anywho, because I'm not working now, I can... It makes me a little more comfortable because I can go to their school and, you know, and watch them. I try to keep them as busy as possible with extracurricular activities. But what I will say is, as soon as I get my first chance to leave, I feel the same way.
Really?
And I love Baltimore, everything about it, but it's just too much.
So where are you thinking in terms of moving?
That's a good question.
So do you think
I'm
you...
coming to your house, probably, for a couple months, and then...
Wait, what did you say?
He said Atlanta.
Oh, so you're thinking about moving to Atlanta. Okay. And you're okay living in Baltimore?
Well, I'm in a long-distance relationship.
Where is she?
Chicago.
So are you going to move to Chicago?
No, she's moving here.
Oh, I'm about to say, that's one of the things, y'all. That's Chirac right there.
When I say she lives in Chicago, it's like... She lives in
She's
Chicago,
in the suburbs.
like Owings Mills.
She's probably in like that's unimportant.
Stricken Calhoun.
No, I know what that says. It ain't no 21216.
I can't stand you.
It ain't no Harlem Park.
So there is no better neighborhood when you're talking about Baltimore, because at one time I grew up on the west side. We grew up on the west side. And at one time, it was always, they do all that shooting on the east side.
Right.
You know, but now it's just like...
You can get it wherever.
You can get it on the south side.
Remember, Columbia was the place to be.
Columbia, White Marsh.
Now, you know, it really Harford County.
Ironically, you know why I feel safe? I feel safe in Mondawmin.
Why?
Because it's civilized there. Like, Mondawmin, you get what's going to be there. You go to Towson, you don't know... What
that used to be nice too.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I'm gonna tell you something about Towson that I noticed.
Hold your thought.
It's a classist mall. Like all the black stores downstairs. Like when you go down to that lower level, it gets very urban. Mm-hmm. Just a little observation.
Like the back of the bus.
But I'm just saying, like, it's a lady that sell blunts on the lower level. I bought blunts.
So what was the point you were gonna make?
I was just going to say...
I'm sorry. I'm all over the place.
In a place where...
Oh, you grayed down. He mad as shit.
I clutch my pearls everywhere
You need to twist up something. This over there, yo.
Some people are comfortable in their environment. Like, even when I take my kids... Prime example. I took my kids to a back-to-school rally where they was giving out... This was about 2 years ago.
I volunteered at one yesterday.
I took them. I can't remember where it was, and if I did remember, I wouldn't say
volunteered.
But it was somewhere in, like, the Pulaski Highway, like Highlandtown area. Mm-hmm. When they got out the car, they said, "Can we go home?" They didn't even want, because
your children said that
they're not used to the stuff that was going on. It was busy. It was a whole lot of stuff. The people, they're not used to that kind of, like, you would have thought they was born in Beverly Hills somewhere. Can we? But they didn't feel comfortable, so we left.
Because what were they doing? Like, what were the people doing?
Knucking and bucking, and they, you know.
What is knucking and bucking?
Twerking and... I mean, they was just all over, like, just doing what those neighborhood people do.
I think the young people call it
screaming, shout, you know. Right, but it wasn't the type of area they were used to. And they didn't feel comfortable, so we left. Listen,
well, I went to one yesterday. A friend of mine has a non-profit organization. And they did a back-to-school giveaway yesterday. They did like a bounce house. They had a DJ out there. They gave away backpacks with school supplies inside. They had like hot meals for them and everything. When I tell you them Negroes carried on so bad. First of all, it was in the parking lot of an apartment complex. y'all driving through speed and blowing the horn like y'all don't see these people in the middle of the parking lot, and people looking like, slow down, like, what you doing? That's first. The DJ, a lesbian, was about to get into it with one of the female organizers. She about to fight with her.
I got a visual.
Like, girl, are you here to help entertain these children, or are you here to start foolishness? Then the leasing agent from the complex got into it with one of the parents.
Oh, gosh.
They had to really
Well, let's have that.
organize and give out the backpacks, because people, of course, were trying to get multiple.
2 and 3. Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, it was just too much. And so the organizers said to me, they said, listen, it is so hard to give and volunteer in our community. Like, they really wanted to shut it down early. Like, it was from 2 to 7. But at 5 o'clock, they were ready to shut shit down.
And some of them you go to is from 2 to 7. You get there at 2:15, everything gone, because Nene done took
3 and 4 backpacks.
Yeah, and only got
They
one
sell
child
it.
who not even in school.
And
you
she's
know,
selling it. They sell it. Like, some people
the
come to those
compassion
things
is
and
just
get the
gone.
stuff
People
to sell.
just don't care anymore. They just don't care.
So have you had any personal accounts of, like, gun violence? Like,
Oh,
anybody you know? Or have you been the victim of anything?
Yeah, my cousin got killed.
Can't nobody hear you over there mumbling.
Now he want to talk loud.
Right.
Oh,
When you was
please.
talking about lead paint, you was all in the
All
mic.
in the mic.
Freddie Gray got laid, though.
Go
Look
ahead
that
with the
up.
story.
My cousin got shot in the head on some gang stuff. at
So
his
there are
house.
gangs here too?
Absolutely.
Yes, indeedy.
Really?
Especially all through the jails. Oh my, it's really.
Because
really
you come from the
bad.
correctional
For
facility.
20 years.
Yeah, it's real.
And so there were gangs. There are gangs on the streets of Baltimore.
Gangs on the street, and they infiltrated in the jails, and they're running
The jails.
the jails.
What you mean they running the jails? So you were working there, so they were running you?
Absolutely not.
So
They
how
was not running
sis.
Sergeant Bad.
they were not running who?
Sergeant Badu did 20 years without a
Hey.
hit, chair, because I only play them games.
So wait, what you mean they weren't running
When
you?
I say them bastards that was in there eating lobster and oh,
How do they get lobster?
Hey,
got people-
hey.
Hold
hey,
on.
you saying too much.
I don't work there no more.
Go
I
ahead.
I
got
know.
time.
Oh, you good, you good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was making sure the statute of limitations
What
is
now?
up on that
They
shit.
What, they listen to the podcast
You ever
in
heard
jail
of
too?
what's
Maybe.
his name? Tavon.
Niggas got Facebook and
They
everything
just
else.
did
Yeah, the
a
BGF guy.
BET Tavon. I want to say his name Tavon White. Don't quote me on that. But I know his first name was Tavon. But he was running stuff from the inside. He had people like officers. It was a big thing. People got locked up, did time.
Didn't he have a
everything.
girl pregnant or something?
3.
Yeah.
He had three girls.
Three officers.
He had
Three
officers.
COs
Well, you know, my
pregnant.
brother spent 23 years in jail, and he was originally in Jessup. For those of you listening, Jessup is like 30
Good
minutes
cut.
outside of Baltimore.
Right.
But they learned that he was having a relationship with a female correctional officer, and they moved his ass 4 hours away.
Oh yeah.
So this guy, you're saying, had 3 girls
This was in
pregnant?
the city. He had 3 officers
Pregnant.
pregnant, and he had them working, like bringing stuff in. So they said, he was eating real good steak and lobster, and
So how were they smuggling? So I guess they were bringing it in as if it was their own lunch?
they would see when one person get in trouble, it's like a snowball effect because when you come in, you're supposed to be searched. Everyone is supposed to be searched. So that would mean they weren't searched. Or it could have been the person at the door was working with them. You just never know. But
So even when you reported to work, you still had to be searched?
you had to be searched.
Okay.
And every time you left out of the building,
You have to be
when you
searched.
come back, you're supposed to be searched. Every time.
So he was eating well.
Eating well,
Because I know
sleeping well.
my brother said that they had, some of them had access to cell phones. They
Oh,
were text
yeah.
messaging and that kind of thing, which is considered contraband, right? A cell phone.
Contraband, yep. They're not supposed to have cell phones.
So how did you navigate around getting controlled?
I
Officer
didn't work
Badu?
there. I worked in Jessup.
Oh, okay.
But this happened in the city.
Oh,
This
so you may
happened-
know my brother,
Out the cut.
What's his name?
James Soller.
That
They
name
called him
sounds
Dollar. They called
Was
him
he
Dollar.
at
though.
the house?
You know Natalia
I'm gonna show you a
Crandall?
picture of him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know because remember I said he was in
Natalia
Jessup.
Crandall.
He was at Jessup for a while.
I actually didn't. I worked on transportation, which means I escorted them to court in the hospital. So I did that for 19 years. I only worked inside of an institution, like fully, for one. But I was on the road, taking them back and forth to court.
That's what's up.
So that's what I did.
Okay.
But, being in there, you see all kinds of stuff, and you hear the inmates talking, but, gangs were really, really heavy inside of jail. They're really, really heavy.
And so you're saying
they
that they
spill
had
out
into the streets?
Yeah,
of Baltimore.
yeah. So they all work. It's a corporation for like they work together. to get what
inside
they need.
and outside.
Inside and outside. They work together. And
So do you think that some of the killings that we see in the city may be, like with the case of the 98-year-old guy I was talking about, do you think that sometimes it's initiation kind of stuff?
Do they still do initiations?
Yes.
I don't know, because I'm not in the
They
game.
do. They do. They definitely do.
Because I have not heard nothing about, I didn't even think they still did
They do.
initiations.
They do that bullshit.
Wow.
But still, yeah.
So
So
it's possible the 98-year-old man could have been.
It's
Probably. Why else would they?
It's definitely possible.
Because you gotta do it like just
And
in
you
case.
know what, while we on the subject, let's discuss this too. The whole dynamics was men being men. Like, where all this whining with the damn men come from? Because men want to be women now as far as taking on the male role in the household. I'm confused. Like, when did women become men and men become women? You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, what do you mean in terms of like the role reversal?
Yeah, you know, as far as leading the household.
So you have women leading the household, you mean?
Right, I could be because it's a lack of men being around and
Being
locked up or
present,
whatever.
yeah.
But even when they're present, they don't want to. It looks like, and this is coming from hearing women talk and living it. You know, shit, I'm living it, honey. They don't want to step up and do what our grandfathers
Take on the responsibility.
Right, you know.
So do you think that has
I would think so.
an effect on the violence too? Because there isn't any structure in the home.
I believe
That
so.
male presence.
I believe, and I don't know if the men stressed out, they whine and scream and howl, crying about stuff, but that's normally the woman's job. Now you see, it's just everything is just screwed up if you ask me. I don't know where it comes
I
from.
disagree totally with everything she just said.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
You can tell us why.
I'm going to tell you why. She said, like, basically, men turning into pussies.
Well, those weren't her words, but go ahead.
But, you know, in a general, I boiled it down. Now, what I'm saying is, women have evolved to breadwinners, you know, CEOs or whatever.
Would you say by choice or by force?
No, they've evolved because, like, they're women. They're gonna want different
By
things.
choice or by force? Let me say this.
See, you ain't let me finish. I let you finish.
That wasn't going nowhere.
I let you finish.
All right, go ahead. I'm gonna let you
See?
finish. I'm gonna hold on to
All
my
right,
thought.
thank you.
Land the plane, goddammit.
Hey, listen here. Enjoy the flight. I'm just saying, women want it both ways. Can't have it both ways.
Can I speak as a woman?
Go ahead, say it.
No, we don't. I would love to be able to sit back and know that a man is doing what he's supposed to do as a man. Women don't mind being submissive if they can, but we don't have a choice. We have to step up and take on the role because men aren't doing what they're supposed to do.
And let me add to this. Part of what's happened is, you asked, is it by force or by choice? Part of it has been by force. When you talk about a system of oppression and a system of racism, because women, black women in particular, have been given opportunities that black men have not been given. But then also, when we look at the black middle class, the black women are responsible for the growth of the black middle class. Mm-hmm. Period.
They've evolved.
But are black
I
men
don't think they
evolving
had to.
as well?
I just think they did because of who they are.
If they didn't, what would happen?
Like, they going to keep evolving.
Well,
but women don't evolve because they have to. They just evolve because that's what they do. Like,
so
a
men don't evolve?
A woman that's a CEO of a company, she didn't do it because she had to. She did it because she wanted to. She evolved to become that. Not because, I got to do this or nobody going to do it for me.
So you're saying that black men just languish?
Like, women get
they
away.
Don't have the
Women
choice?
I think women love to say, I'm doing it all by myself, no matter what the guy do. I've never heard a woman, listen, I've never heard a woman say a dude is doing everything he's supposed to do. I've never heard.
Because he ain't doing it.
Exactly.
Then you just answered your own.
No, but why? What do you want? Like, what do you want from a guy?
I want you to take care of the house. I want you to stand
You want
up and
perfection.
do.
You want
no,
perfection.
it ain't about perfection because our grandfathers and great grandfathers did.
They
it.
died.
I mean,
They
everybody
died.
died. But what I'm saying is, they did with the little they had. They took care of their families. It didn't matter what they may have been doing on the side, out in the streets. Home came first.
You can't compare that to this because back then you can buy a car for $6,000.
But the economy was different, and
Right.
and still the amount of a car still had nothing to do with
Value.
right.
It does.
No,
The thing
It
is,
does,
they
because it's like-
provided
Right.
with what they had.
But they didn't. But women providing also, they
We
evolved.
have-
Like
With
I
what
said,
they had.
We have to.
So you have
This
to
what I'm saying.
provide.
I have 3 children. I'm a single
Right.
parent. I could take $6.
I ain't never heard a woman say, "Oh, my husband's the best ever."
No, wait a minute. Let me say this. I can
Never.
take $6
I have.
and
You might need to
stretch
change the
it
circle.
how I need to. But if you ask a man, can they contribute and do something? They'll just say, I don't have it. Because they don't see a way of taking that $6 and providing for a family because they're worried about self. That's what I mean, the dynamics. I don't want to
The
be.
generalization.
No, it's
Every
the truth.
man think that way.
That's my truth.
All right.
I can only tell you about my truth. I can't tell you about anybody else's. Now, on the flip side, if I ever run into somebody who is doing what they're supposed to do, I'm going to hold them up. I'm
What's
not
doing
going
what you're supposed to do, though?
being a provider, doing what you're supposed to do as a man, just like a woman is supposed to do.
You
what
think
she's
that guy's
supposed to do.
single?
What
Is
happened?
that guy single? That guy he doing what he's supposed to do and all that? Is he single?
Whether he's single or not, if you have responsibilities, whether you're married, single, you still have to take care of your response. It doesn't stop because, I'm having a bad day, and that's what a lot of men think. I don't have it. So what you supposed to do? Sit little Timmy in the corner until you have it? No. Living doesn't stop. Being a parent doesn't stop. Being a provider does not stop. It still has to continue, whether you have it or not. You have to figure it out. That's what women do. We figure it out. Where the men, a lot, and I'm not just saying, because, wait, let me finish, because there's a lot of men who are providers, and it's sorry-ass women out here. It go both ways. But you figure it out. You just can't stop. And it's like a role reversal.
So what do
and I got a
you
problem
want
with
somebody
that.
to provide for you? Because you
No.
said provide.
No, what I hear
you
her
said
saying.
provide
No, what I
several
hear her
times.
saying is she wants somebody to help contribute.
Right. Not provide
Someone
for
to
me.
be present. Someone to participate in raising those 3 kids.
Right.
All right, Dr. Phil.
It's the truth.
I prefer Gayon Levan.
Let me say
Get her
that
out of here,
because
too.
I don't need nobody to do anything. I have my own house. I have my own truck. I take care of my children the best way I can on my own. I worked 20 years for the state. Did all of it on my own merit. But it would be damn sure nice if somebody helped take that load off of me. There's nothing wrong with having help. There's nothing wrong with wanting help.
I'm not saying anything wrong with having help, but the help, you got some high standards for the help.
That ain't high standards. Okay, so listen. Let me ask you
Did
this.
I ask for Bill Gates? What the hell?
So let's talk.
You asking for a lot.
No, it's not.
Yo, that's all you asking for is what you not talking about what you giving.
No, she just told you what she gave. You're not listening.
That's what it is.
She just told you what she's giving.
Yo, that was it.
That's not enough.
No.
If that is
not compared to the laundry list that you request from a guy.
What laundry list? What, being a provider?
What did you hear her say?
Yeah.
What's the laundry list she asked for from a guy?
He gotta provide. He got a job. Help me out.
Wasn't that what she just said she did?
Ain't that what men and women supposed to do for each other?
That's basic.
So
That's
what?
basic
So what?
shit.
Guys? So what a guy don't do?
I didn't say he must own his own company, be a multi-millionaire.
I'm not saying
any of
that. But I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, is it ever enough?
So asking him to do what I'm doing is too much?
No, I'm not saying it's too much. I'm just saying, whatever is he doing, is it ever enough?
You just named basic shit that
No,
was
I'm
a
just
problem, so I don't even
I just
know.
asked you a question. Is whatever the man doing?
What she's saying
gonna
is
be
she
enough
hasn't
for
had
you?
a man that stepped up
I
to
haven't
do
had
exactly
that.
what she does.
If it was like this, going both ways, it would be absolutely enough. But you just named a whole bunch of basic stuff that sound like it was a shitload of stuff to you.
No, I'm just saying it's not. I'm just saying. All I'm saying is, it's
What are
not
you
all
saying?
the men. Like you're making it like it's
I
all
said
the
that.
men.
No,
like,
I said it's
like
some sorry ass
you
women
act
out
just like
here.
it's men.
No, she
men
didn't.
ain't
She
bringing
said a
nothing
lot
to
of
the table
men.
at all. Like
No, I said it's some sorry ass.
he gotta do this, he gotta do that, he gotta do this. But it's like many times it's like, all right, that's cool. Dude's willing to do that, but it's like, why?
Well,
what?
where they at?
Really?
Yeah.
Where they at? What? I mean, the dudes you name, and they got a girl. They chilling.
Oh, God.
They're in a
so
relationship.
listen. So let's tie this in. So do you think that there's a correlation between the kind of man that you can't find and some of this gun violence that's happening in the streets? Because perhaps they just don't have the the hustle, and that's for lack of a better word, I don't mean street hustle.
Right.
They don't have that grind to really stand up and go out there and do what they're supposed. That drive, that ambition.
And I think it is a lot of men out here that could have that potential, but like you said, they don't have the drive, or they maybe didn't have someone to show them.
Mm-hmm. Right, the tools. They don't have the tools.
So they pretty much lost, and that's when usually you see a man who is living off of a woman, being taken care of, like one of the damn children, you know, and
being kept.
Being a kept man, and it's okay for a minute until the woman gets tired of it, because everything gets old. And if you, I can't understand for the life of me why any woman or man would want to be in a situation, because there's women like that too who just want to be with a man and not doing nothing for themselves. I can't understand for the life of me on either part
how that's attractive to a person.
Yeah, how you would want to even be that person who is
That's
not...
the same thing as asking somebody, like, how you like him if he beats you. It's the same thing. It's like, you don't know what that is, like, whatever that is.
No, because usually when a person is
that was
getting
an
beat,
extreme example.
Right, but usually
like,
when a person is getting beat, they stay because they don't know how they're going to make it financially if they leave. That's usually what happens.
Or they're afraid, like, they don't know what's going to happen.
Without them.
Right.
So what do you think, what's next? Like, what do you think a step or a remedy is for what's happening in this city of Baltimore or cities like Chicago? What do you think has to happen? Like, what do you think do you think this administration is going to snap some people into place? Not meaning that he's going to do it for us, but meaning, do you think some of these people will wake up and see what's happening in the world around us, whether it's the gun violence that's happening between the cops and the people of color? Do you think that that's going to kind of snap people into place and think, okay, we really need to wake up and...
No, I don't. I just think it's a loss. Just like with I'm bringing in the Kaepernick situation.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I've been reading up on it. I really don't know a whole lot about it. I just know that he took a knee. I saw and I understand what that was all about. But looking at some people comments on Facebook, some black people, I guess they feel like, oh, it's not affecting me or it's not happening to me, so what do I care? It's a lot of people that's just lost that mentality. I just don't understand. Of course, I don't even comment on it because what's the point of going back and forth with somebody who just don't get it?
It's not real to them until it's on their front door.
Absolutely. Right. So people are just lost, confused. They don't care. I had a conversation with one of my friends, and she was saying, I like football, so it don't matter to me. I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Right.
So,
what I find interesting, and I posted about this on my Facebook, is, these same people that were talking about boycotting Chrisette Michele because she performed at the inauguration are these same people that don't see the need to boycott the NFL or to support Kaepernick.
Right.
Because the reality is, if they do it to him for taking a stand and exercising his freedom of speech, then they'll do it to one of these other ones.
Right.
And I just feel like athletes in this day and age need to be more like the athletes of yesteryear. Because when you saw people like Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown, they spoke out about civil rights and that kind of thing. And this is a civil issue.
They just want us to stay in our place.
Absolutely. But we have to be willing to sacrifice and take a stand together.
But they're trying to make it about the flag and...
Exactly.
But it's not about that.
Right. They're trying to shift the issue from why he did it in the first place. And it was because of all of the black people that are getting shot down by the police.
Right.
It's not about the flag. Like, the Star Spangled Banner was written in 1814.
Let me tell you something about white folks. They're clear about why he did it.
They're
just trying to distract black folks.
And they're doing a hell of a job.
Absolutely.
They're doing a hell of a job.
Absolutely.
Because he's being blackballed because of that. They're making about the flag.
They're basically trying to punish him.
Right.
Meanwhile, you have rapists.
Ray Lewis.
You have misogynists. Batterers.
Wife beaters.
Exactly. And nobody's boycotting or trying to get them out of the league.
Yo, the dude that played for the Eagles called a guy a nigga on camera. And yo got a contract extension. He called him, he said, if you come over that fence, I'll beat you, you fucking nigga. On camera. Riley Cooper, that's his name. You can look it up.
Any final thoughts on the gun violence in Baltimore?
I'm just praying that...
But you said it was a success, though. the start.
I think it was. Yes, I do think it
let's
was
end
the
on that.
start
Let's
of a
end on that, a
success,
positive
and that's what I
note.
was getting ready to say. I'm praying that the ceasefire, although it started at 41 hours.
41 hours. Mm-hmm.
At some point.
It's been like 5 murders since the ceasefire.
Oh, I mean, okay, nothing is. You can't stop everything.
I'm just saying.
Rome wasn't built in a day. You got to start somewhere. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
So I commend them for even taking a step towards finding a solution instead of just sitting there always talking about the problem and not doing anything about it. Because people can sit around all day and talk about what the issues are and what isn't working. But what are you doing about it? If you're not helping, then you're hindering. So
you're part of the problem.
Right. So
That's
I commend them for even trying, like even starting somewhere. I commend them for that. So kudos to you, Erica Bridgeford.
Listen to what you just said. You're giving them kudos for not killing anybody.
But you got to. But we're talking about people who
kudos
this is all they know.
Good job for no one killing each other.
Absolutely, because some people, this is what they're born into.
That's what it's come to.
That's what it's come to. You got to start somewhere.
Damn.
If this is all you know, I'm gonna go with the lead paint because you like
stuck on the lead paint.
With the lead, Freddie Gray.
He thinks that the lead paint is the reason that everything.
If all you ate for 10 years was lead paint, and I bring you a cheeseburger, but you don't know nothing about a cheeseburger, you might pick at it for a minute until it becomes the norm for you, and then. Before you know it, you're graduating a new level. So you got to start somewhere.
So you saying lead not the root of all of this?
No, lead is not the root of all of this.
Lead is the root of all of this.
People been eating paint chips for years and they act like they're
baking out that. Their children are the ones that's in jail acting crazy.
No, I think it's deeper than paint.
And it's hereditary.
Yeah, you've already made that point. We're not going to revisit that right now.
I'm telling you, the lead, yo.
Yeah, good luck. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is So Much to Say. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart. Follow me on Instagram at Craig the Writer Stewart. My Facebook is Craig the Writer Stewart. The website, www.craigthewriterstewart. Be sure to subscribe. Don't forget, share this podcast with your friends, your family, your network. Be safe, especially if you're in Baltimore.
Really, yo?
Keep loving yourself.